Soviet Union, silver. Gojin of Romania, bronze. Let's go to Larry.
Thanks, Jim. We'll return to the last night of women's gymnastics and the uneven bars in a little while. Stay with us for more of the 1990 Goodwill Games. The next event in gymnastics, less than 12 minutes away. Stay with us.
Well, we do have this area that we've called Main Street, and it's just a cluster of tents where the athletes can gather and listen to music. Live music is provided twice a day, and there's also a free jukebox. Probably, though, the biggest attraction has been the video games. And if I might add, that's where Alonzo Mourning spent this afternoon at the video game parlor, sitting down, resting his legs, but playing video games in preparation for tonight's gold medal basketball game.
Do friendships, international friendships, build out of this?
I think they do. I think the athletes that don't speak English sometimes rely on the athletes that do speak English when they want to communicate around the various shops or communicate about food or want to trade.
What's the toughest part about life in there for them?
Probably the sterility of it. I mean, as much as there's fun things to do, this isn't really America inside this village. So the good side is the gate is open. The athletes leave frequently, and they do walk all over the campus of the University of Washington. And like any college area or college town, there are many, many shops, coffee shops, newspaper stands, so they get a better taste of what the U.S. is about than just here in the village.
Some people have reported as liking one of the aspects of watching these games, the fact that there's not a lot of nationalism involved, that Soviets get applauded as much as Americans by the people visiting the events. How about rooting inside the village?
Well, in the very beginning, they didn't have television monitors, and suffice to say, they came over here and they watched our monitor. And I think what they enjoyed more than anything was just the generally high excellence of the competition as opposed to any one team winning. We had a lot of the water polo players watching the USA team play basketball, and I think it was just an appreciation of basketball as opposed to it being the USA involved in the game.
Was the food good?
Oh, the food is excellent here. Unfortunately, here on Main Street, you can't get a hamburger, a cheeseburger, you can't get a hot dog, and you'd think, good grief, this is supposed to be Main Street, USA. But I found out why. They have a hard time with refrigeration, and keeping something like ground beef could be pretty tricky, so they save that for the dormitories. So the athletes who want hamburgers and cheeseburgers can get it, but they just have to get it in their dorms.
Thanks, Leandra. Keep us posted then on the yogurt. Nick, we have the men's gold medal basketball game coming up, and today's joke, looking at the monitor, that a lot of people may be looking at this tie wondering, has Larry gone into another atmosphere? No, this is a tie given to me by my super executive producer back at Larry King Live, Tammy Haddad, and her fiancé, Ted Greenberg. And this is a tie of baseball tickets. St. Louis Brown baseball tickets, World Series baseball tickets, and it's in spirit of sport. It's a sport tie, brightly colored. Okay, now we all know what it is. Welcome back. It's the last night of women's gymnastics at the Tacoma Dome. Back there, what's he wearing? Jim Simpson.
Thank you, Larry. Henny Onidi of Hungary, the top Hungarian gymnast on the uneven bars. Matter of fact, Henny said last night after she took the bronze in the all-around that there's not much behind her in Hungary. Gymnastics has come almost to a complete halt in Hungary, aside from this youngster right here, 16 years old. And a year ago, in Europe, she won the European Championship in this event, the unevens.
She was also the bronze all-around European champion this past European Championships. Just very nice uneven bar work. It's a nice little original connection move. Something the judges are looking for. That's called a Ginger. Made famous by Eberhard Ginger, the male West German gymnast. She could have a little bit more amplitude in this routine. That release move should have been a little bit higher above the bar. There's a nice front giant there. Back giant with a full pirouette into a tuck double back dismount.
She's got the crowd at least. I don't know about the judges. And the oddity of Hungary.
You don't have to know much about gymnastics to know you have to stick your landing. And this audience knows how important that is.
And she is first up on this apparatus.
It was a nice start for this event. It's going to be a terrific competition. A lot of good uneven bar workers, including Henrietta. She shows nice low bar work. Many of the gymnasts just get right up to the high bar, do the major release moves, but they don't do anything really interesting.
Once again, ladies and gentlemen, we would like to remind you, please.
She has a nice variety, several different kinds of moves. But as I said, the release move should be a little bit higher up above the bar. course, the dismount, very high, good form,
Score
and a good lane.
9.862. And of course, she is first up, and that is the score that she gets. There are 2 Americans, Betty Okino and Kim Zamasko, in this event, and only 1 Soviet. So at least a couple of the medals in this will not go to the outstanding Soviets, but Kalinina is to come later. This is Eva Rueda of Spain, where the Olympic Games will be held in a couple of years in Barcelona.
And Eva Rueda also did very well at the European Championships, finishing 4th. And that was just back in May. She's a very, very strong, dynamic gymnast. You can see by her physical build.
And by today's standards, a rather old gymnast for the women, 18.
She opens with a Jaeger front. A couple little form deductions already. Unpointed toes. Reverse hex. So she's now completed 2 major release moves. Very important that you get all the levels of difficulty in. Watch this dismount. She cranks those 2 giants and does a double layout flyaway.
Eva Rueda of Spain.
Amazing velocity she has to create to do the double layout the way she does it. It's a very difficult dismount. Just recently it's become a little bit more popular now that the bars are farther apart, spaced farther apart. They can generate a little bit more swing. Here's her first release move. It's called a Jaeger front. Again, look to see that on the regress, their shoulders are level with that bar. It's what the judges are looking for. This is the reverse hecht. And again, she catches just level with the high bar. And watch this dismount. She really cranks these giants around. Strong tap at the bottom of the swing in order to get that rotation and maintain a layout position, which makes the dismount much more difficult.
At the moment, awaiting her score, and waiting to come up is Li Li. She's waiting to come up, and there's Kim Zamasko, who did not go in the vault, but she is in this event. But before she goes, the other American in this event, Betty Okino, will be on the unevens. Remember, she's got tendonitis. Wrist here, 9.825. So at this very young moment in the unevens, Onadi is first and Rueda is second. But we have 6 more to go. Chinese have always been very, very good on the uneven parallel bars. And there is little Li Li of China, only 15 years old, from the Guangdong province.
What really makes them spectacular on this event is their body position, their body line. All the handstands are so straight. The swing is very, very smooth.
In the team championships on Friday night, she scored a 9.925, Li Li of China.
And she does a fantastic move. She's the first person to do this move. She does a straight body front giant. Look at the line I was talking about. Reverse heck going the other direction, much less common. And here it comes. She's going to set up. Look at that, a German giant. She made a mistake. She usually goes into a reverse heck there. She left it out. It'd be interesting to see what the judges do with that.
And a little hop at the end for Li Li.
And she normally sticks her dismount. I think she was thinking back in her routine where that slight mistake occurred. And as I said,
Tonight, and a very receptive crowd for all of the women's gymnastics.
this is her first sequence. It's really quite beautiful. Straight front giant to a back giant with a half pirouette. She does a reverse hecht going the other direction. Tremendous height on that release move. Now watch right here. What this should have been, it's called a German giant. This is her last giant going into her dismount. A tuck double back dismount, very, very high, but she had some problem in the middle of the routine. She normally does a German giant into a reverse hecht. She had to leave out the reverse hecht part and just swing out of it. Not a major break, but it will be interesting to see what the judges do with it.
And while we wait the judges, Betty Okino will be next. Our only regret is this is the final night of gymnastics. 3 great nights with the men last weekend. There's Betty Okino, and this is the third and final night with the women gymnasts of the world. And we've had capacity or near capacity crowds all 6 nights. Tacoma Dome is not through. Later on next week, there will be 4 nights of figure skating from this same venue. Lily still waits for her score. And the judges are on the telephone.
I told you they'd have a little bit of problem with this. It's could almost be considered an extra swing. She left out the element, but had to get out of it and move into the next element, and it was a little bit awkward there.
Betty Okino waits. You've heard Kathy report that the girls are a little tired and a little upset about their performance of last night, but here they are in the crowd now. Amy Scher did not do well in the vault. This will be Betty Okino's first performance of the night, and several competitors after her, Kim Zamaska, will be on the same event.
And on Friday, Betty Okino had the highest qualifying score in the uneven bars. Coming in tonight, yesterday she had a little bit of problem during the all-around competition. She caught her leg on the low bar when she performed her reverse head. So I'm sure that's going through her mind right now. She does not want to repeat that error.
Now the judges are looking into their little screen, and now they've come with a 9.687, so it did affect the score. Crowd probably not hearing Kathy Johnson. I know they cannot understand why it's only a 9.687, not realizing what she left out.
Well, since she didn't break form, it didn't look like an obvious mistake, but it was a non-element. She did part of the German giant and then just stooped her legs through and went into a kip on the high bar.
All right, on to Betty Okino, 15 years old, out of Elmhurst, Illinois. Trains with Bella Caroli down in Houston. Her first appearance of the night, looking for a medal in the uneven bars.
Keep in mind the judges watch and count the elements of difficulty. There are requirements on these events.
Betty hit a foot on one of the bars last night.
Here's her first release move coming up right here. It's a Jaeger front, very nicely done. Here's where the problem was yesterday. It's a reverse hacked, way up above the bar. Beautiful. It's exactly the way she would have liked to have done that yesterday. And the dismount, front with a hack.
Terrific.
Very nice routine. 2 major release moves. Nice swing. Played it a little safe on the dismount. That dismount is a simple dismount compared to many of the dismounts we've seen in the competition. But she did it with no deductions.
We can tell you that the judges took an extra deduction off the average score because someone spoke to the gymnast during the routine. And there are those deductions that the judges are
She does her front giant.
Infractions that sometimes we as audience
Nice high Jaeger front, well above the bar.
Is a fairly heavy penalty and was taken right off the average score. And this happens frequently in international gymnastics.
And that's her reverse hacked again.
And you don't like
Great
that either,
amplitude.
He's looking at Onadi's score of 9.862, which is the top. And the announcer here has explained to the people here what happened to the score of Lili.
There was a deduction because one of the coaches, obviously during the routine, said something to her, a coaching comment, and that is a severe deduction in gymnastics. You are not allowed to coach during the competitive routine.
Here's our new leader. It is Betty Okino, 9.887. Not the 9.90 or better she would like to have had, but it's good enough in the race for the medal in the uneven bars.
Now the folks at Wendy's have a fun way for your whole family to meet the Jetsons. Because when you come to Wendy's, we'll give you a free Jetsons the Movie Cup. Just order the Jet Pack. That's terrific! It's a delicious old-fashioned quarter-pound single and large drink.
How nebular!
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy!
My daughter, when he said, Dad, these cups are major cool. You know, they're pretty nifty, too.
Come in for your Jet Pack and free Jetsons the Movie Cup today. Collect all 4, only at Wendy's.
Me and Joe were 2 of the most feared players in football. Now we want to try more peaceful pursuits, like fishing. We brought along some cold Miller Lights. Light's not some watered-down version of a regular beer. It's a less filling beer that really tastes great.
You ready to try and catch a fish, Randy?
Okay, Joe, I'll go first. Hey, Fish, get in the boat! Boy, this fish is pretty easy.
It's no fish story. When it's Miller Lite, less filling tastes great.
Hey, that one's too small. Get out of here!
The 1990 Goodwill Games is a presentation of TBS Sports.